I spent most of my life treating my body like a stubborn old truck, something reliable enough to get me where I needed to go, even if I ignored the rattles and strange noises along the way. If something hurt, I tightened my jaw and continued. If I felt tired, I poured another cup of coffee. If a doctor suggested follow-up tests, I'd nod politely and never schedule them. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I genuinely believed this was what a responsible adult did: keep going, no matter what. Looking back, I can see that I inherited this mindset. My parents were children of difficult times. Illness wasn't something they talked about, it was something they walked off. My father worked through fevers and back pain as if stopping would invite trouble. My mother treated rest as a luxury, not a necessity. So I learned early that endurance was admirable and discomfort was just the tax you paid for being alive. That belief stayed with me through every chapter of life. In my 30s and 40s, I built a career I was proud of. Those years demanded long days and longer commutes. There were months when I barely felt my feet land on the ground. Still, I remained convinced that slowing down would cause my life to fall apart. I had people counting on me, family, coworkers, aging parents, and I wore that responsibility like armor. Fatigue? Normal. Aches? Expected. Anxiety buzzing under the surface? Just part of being an adult. What I didn't notice was how gradually I was disconnecting from myself. You don't suddenly stop listening to your body. It happens quietly, over decades. At first, it's one ignored headache. Then it's an overlooked checkup. Then it's a habit of brushing aside anything that doesn't fit into your schedule. Eventually, you forget your body even has a voice. I carried that silence into my 50s and 60s. At family gatherings, I'd wave off concerns with a laugh. I'm fine, I'd say, even when I wasn't. I thought acknowledging discomfort made me fragile. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to fuss. But the truth was simpler. I didn't know how to listen. Then came the morning that finally slowed me down. I had woken up with a tightness in my chest, not sharp, not scary, just unfamiliar. In the past, I would have ignored it. But that morning something told me to pause. Maybe it was age. Maybe it was intuition. Or maybe I had simply run out of excuses. I called my doctor. The tests that followed weren't dramatic, but they were enough to shake me awake. Nothing life-threatening, but a clear message: you can't keep postponing yourself. I remember sitting in the waiting room, cold, quiet, with the hum of fluorescent lights overhead, and feeling something I hadn't felt since childhood: stillness. No deadlines. No rushing. No pretending. Just me, my breath, and the realization that I had no idea what my body had been trying to tell me all these years. For the first time, I asked myself a question that felt almost radical. What do I actually need right now? Not what I should do. Not what others expect. Not what habit dictates. What I need. The answer was gentle. It wasn't a dramatic overhaul or a strict routine. It was simple. More rest. More awareness. More kindness toward myself. And less fear of slowing down. So I started small. I added short walks to my mornings, just 10 minutes at first. I paid attention to how food made me feel instead of how convenient it was. I learned to stop when my body whispered, instead of waiting for it to shout. I began scheduling checkups without guilt. And perhaps the hardest shift, I learned to say, I need a break, without apologizing. Listening became a practice. A daily conversation. Some days, my body told me to move. Other days, it told me to sit quietly with a cup of tea. Some days it asked for help, a doctor, a specialist, a new medication, none of which were signs of weakness, but of care. Slowly, my relationship with my body changed. It stopped being a vehicle for productivity and became a companion, one that had never abandoned me, even when I ignored it. I started remembering things I once knew but had long forgotten: how good it feels to wake without rushing, how calming it is to breathe deeply, how comforting it is to treat yourself with patience. Aging stopped feeling like a decline and started feeling like a recalibration. People assume aging teaches you about loss. But for me, aging has been about learning presence. Now, at 71, my days have a different rhythm. They are gentler, but fuller. I pay attention to small things: the warmth of sunlight through the window, the stretch of my legs on morning walks, the way my breath steadies during quiet moments. My body isn't something I battle anymore, it's something I cooperate with. And the surprising part? I feel more alive now than I did decades ago. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't scold her for pushing too hard. She did what she thought she had to do. Instead, I would offer her the same softness I've finally learned to give myself. You don't earn rest by exhausting yourself. You deserve care simply because you're alive. Start listening sooner, not out of fear, but out of respect. Life becomes gentler when you do. And gentleness, I've learned, is a kind of strength that stays with you for the long journey ahead.